Welcome to How It's Made. Jam! Here at the Jam Factory, we pride ourselves on presentation. One of our most common visual effects is that of the parallax. However, we are innovators and do not stop at the traditional parallax. In this video, we aim to show you our multiple-step process to creating the most dynamic and optimized parallax possible. Now, please give a warm welcome to the CEO of our company himself, Jamit, who has taken the time to show you these methods himself.
I love you, Jamit.
Guys, that's me. I'm Jamit. That's me. Alright, so that was really the only scripted part of the video. I'm a college student and don't have time for that pizzazz. Basically, yeah, okay, so parallax, what is it? Put your finger in front of your face, right in front of your face, real up close, and move your finger back and forth. You'll notice it moves pretty fast. Now, put your finger way far away from your face, as far as you can reach, and then move it back and forth again. You'll notice it moves a lot slower, and that is what parallax is. That's all you need to know. Things closer to the camera should move faster, things further away should move slower. I have seen this messed up so many times, and I don't know how people keep on messing it up. It's actually like really simple. Please stop making incorrect parallax. They are driving me crazy. I can't, my OCD. So, this is what it should look like. Things in the front move faster, things in the back move slower. As you can see here, this is group 1, minus 1,000. Group 3 is the furthest one to the back. This is minus 600, and as you can see, group 2 is in between the two, that's minus 800. So the further back they get, the slower they are. Now this is actually not the best way of doing this, and I will show you the best way of doing this is using a special little trigger called follow trigger. So if we set these off of spawn triggered, which I had them on to make them not do anything because nothing was spawning them, as you can see when I play, this X will move to the side, and this X is group 4. Group 4 minus 1,000, that's the same that this front one was moving. And as you can see, group 1, which is that front one, is following 4, and we're using this nifty thing called X mod. There's also Y mod, but we're only moving horizontally, so we don't need that. We can set that to 0 to save on performance. So as you can see, X mod, this is basically telling it to move 1 times as far as whatever direction this moves, because it's X mod, just wherever it moves horizontally. Now if we go to group 3, this is where it gets interesting. This is set to 0.6, so it'll move 0.6 times as far as this thing moves whenever it does. As we can see, this is group 3 and its scale is set to 0.6. And as you'll see in the next step, having the scale and having the X mod for the follow trigger, having them be the same is very important. And you'll get to see why here on step 2. Step 2 is a repeating pattern that lines up with itself. As you can see here, there was really no need to have these in any specific positions. Like honestly, I can just set these to whatever and it doesn't really matter. As you can see, I can just set those to that and it looks fine. But where we do need this is with a pattern that needs to line up like this. So if we look at this, as you can see, this is scale 1, group 5. Group 5 moves 1. That's the same number. If we select a random one here, just this one, sure. If we look here, it's 0.7. Group 8 moves 0.7 on the X mod. And so as you can see, that is a repeating pattern that will always line up. But there's a problem, and you can probably see it. It is no longer on our screen. That is not normally how we want effects to work, and it did not take very long for that to happen. Now, obviously, we could just, duplicate this over here and just make it longer and longer and do this with all of them, and no, let's not. This already uses 216 objects. If we're gonna make this last a significant amount of time, it's going to be eating up objects like crazy. So, what we wanna do, I'll take this off spawn trigger and show you what I made over here. What we wanna do is make a spawn loop that resets its position every certain amount of time. And so as you can see, this, if we move it over 2 grid spaces, is how long it takes for it to loop. If we reset its position when it's in this position, when it's moved exactly 2 spaces, you won't notice anything. And because the amount that these are all scaled in size is the same amount that their movement is scaled, these will also reset to the right positions. And so what you want is you want to look at, okay, this is moving minus 1,000 spaces. This is actually every 10 of these is a grid space. So this is minus 100 spaces in 20 seconds, which basically means, and I won't hassle you with how to do the math and stuff, that it needs to reset, move 20 blocks over every 0.4 seconds. Quick note from Jam of the Future here, I don't know how I forgot to say this, but basically this X, which is the moving group 11, every this amount of time, every 0.4 seconds, it is being moved back to its original position, which this is group 12, and so spawn trigger 13 is activating group 13, which is this move trigger, as you can see on spawn trigger, multi-trigger, group 13. And what this does is it moves group 11 to group 12. Yes, move 2 actually does have uses. You actually can use it for stuff, believe it or not. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, back to the video. I guess I don't know how I forgot to mention that. Now, I don't really want to do math. Let's be fair, math is boring. It is hard. Also, the other problem is that this number and this number have to be numbers that can have math easily done to them in order to get this number, which means that it's very limiting. It's a headache, not something I want to deal with. The other limitation is that if I were to set this to say ease in out, as you can see, it breaks. But if you saw Jam Factory, you probably saw that one transition where you like crashed the wall. In that transition, the camera starts speeding up and moving past the player and then slows down at the end. Obviously, I found a way around this, and I'm about to show you exactly how that works. Additionally, this next method doesn't even require any math, which is great, and that would be this. So our next step is dynamically updating how it repeats, and this is actually way simpler than it sounds. Look at me sounding like mumbo jumbo. Well, it's actually quite simple. Look at me, I'm British and have a mustache, and I like cars and filmmaking, and yes. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. These are collision blocks. I don't know if you've seen them before. They're this thing. And with collision blocks, you can set these to different numbers. This one is set to block ID 1, this one is set to block ID 2. You can't edit multiple at the same time. This is RobTop's fault. RobTop, please fix this. As you can see, there's a little dot next to 1. That means it's a dynamic block. That's because this will be moving, which means that it needs to be set to dynamic or else it will not work. These will not move, meaning they don't need that checked, and that helps performance. So now that you know what collision blocks are, if you didn't already know what they are, this is all that's happening. Basically, this is group 14. Group 14 is moving minus 500 blocks, exponential in out in 10 seconds. This is basically what this X was over here, this X here. It is the object that all of these are following. And what happens when 1 collides with 2 is that there's a collision trigger that spawns group 22. And what that does is group 22 moves group 14 to group 21. Now, this sounds complicated, but you'll see this is actually really simple. This is group 14, this collision block, and this X here is what's group 21. So essentially, all that means is when this collision trigger reaches here and collides with this one, it will reset its position to this X. We move it to there. As you can see, there are actually multiple uses for Move 2. I have used it twice already. It is not a useless mechanic. It actually does have uses. So yeah, that really is all there is to it. It's just these triggers. If you get rid of the follow triggers, it's just these. These are just to move these. So it's really not that much. It is really simple, and as you can see, there we go. It is dynamically updating. And now I didn't actually have this one to the right in Jam Factory because I never moved the floor this direction, but you can easily put one over there on both sides and it works perfectly. There is no issue. And you don't have to do any math, which is great. You can set this move trigger here to any easing you want, any move time. You can have as many move triggers as you want. It doesn't matter. Hey, so you made it to the end of the video. Let's go. It means you didn't get completely confused and give up in the middle of watching it. I guess that's gotta count for something. Hopefully this wasn't overall too confusing. There were a couple things like I kind of forgot to mention, explained in weird ways, or terms I misused throughout the video, but I think I corrected all of those. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys how I made some of the effects in Jam Factory. This is the first video in a series of a few different videos I think I'm going to do on just how to do a few of the different effects that I used in Jam Factory, because some people have been asking and I actually kind of wanted to make these videos for a while. It's a little bit different from what I've done in the past, but I actually had a lot of fun making this video, especially the Jelly Gem part with the please stand by. That was fun, and the intro was really fun too. Overall, pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you're not too confused. Yeah. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you around.